I will tell you the mistakes that I was making with the examples. I clearly remember the trades from what I learned. So, the first number one mistake that I did was letting others' ideas ruins the discipline. Like there was a trade just few months back. I remember the name. It was Sheetal Universal Limited. It's listed on NSE, National Stock Exchange of Indian Market, and I was up like around 13%. And I showed it to my husband and just book it. What are you even waiting for? What if it goes against you? You will be left with nothing.
Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today. Hey guys, welcome back to Market Mamas, and I absolutely love talking to traders from all different walks of life and styles with trading and introductions and experience levels, and I'm very happy to welcome on today another female trader, and this is Nashra from India, and we don't get a ton of women on here yet, so I cannot wait to pick her brain about her experience in trading and how it all has come about for her. So Nashra, first off, thank you so much for coming on with me today.
Thank you for letting me. I'm very grateful that you let me in. So I do have a lot to share because there have been a lot of ups and downs in my journey, and I would absolutely love sharing so that who are starting out or who are stuck at some point in their trading so that they can learn from my mistakes. And that's how I achieve where I am. I learn from others.
I love that energy because I actually really believe that there is plenty of room at the top, and all of us retail traders especially can support each other and help each other grow. And there's plenty of room for all of us to win and extract profits from trading. So I appreciate you just taking the time, because not everyone wants to have these conversations, but I think it really can validate a ton of people that are still working at this game, that if you stay persistent, you can learn something. So let's start with, when did you first hear of trading? How did you learn of it? How did you get involved in the markets?
Okay, so I was introduced to trading by my fiance. At that time, I was in Nikah, in Islamic community. There are two separate things. One is Nikah and then there is Rukhsati. So I was in Nikah. So I was in chatting with him. So I was in conversation with him. He told me about this trading thing, and he told me that all you have to do is to have some capital, and then you invest, and then within a short period of time you exit. So I thought it's pretty simple. It's a decent job or whatever it is. And he did not say that I'm going to do this. He told me that he would hire me. And he was only joking. So he said that I will hire you for very minimal amount. And what I was supposed to do is to prepare a list of stocks that are going to perform very well, and I would submit it to him. So I thought, let's see what this thing is all about. And then I spent 2 years in collecting resources because at my home I didn't have access to internet connection. So I would download books and then I will take out those PDFs, and I read tons of PDFs. And then
Cool.
when I got married and I came to his house, so that's when I got access to internet. That's where I started. But when I started, it was not that easy. It's not just buying and selling. There is a lot behind going. Because the first look that you give to trading, you are like, okay, when you are able to finally understand charts, you are like, okay, I'm going to buy at the low and sell at the high. But it's not like that simple.
That's a dream, right? Like, find a dip and then buy it and then ride it to the new high and then sell it after it makes a new high and gives up. But, that's a very quick one-liner. It's much harder to actually catch those perfect moves. And Miss Market, it will humble us, right? Lots of lessons.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started, the very first time I opened the trading view, which is the software where we look at charts, it was like entering the cockpit. I
Yeah,
couldn't
a lot.
understand a single thing. Like, there are lots of indicators, lots of things. Then I was into Bollinger Bands, those indicator stuff, and those moving averages, Fibonacci. I was literally stuck that which one single one should I go for. I was like, I was looking for a holy grail, but there is no holy grail in trading. But in the end, what I realized, it was very, very simple. Like, even basic support and resistance does work. Basic Fibonacci, very, very basic, does work. But if they are done in consistency over a longer period of time with discipline, not letting emotions ruin our discipline, because emotion also plays a crucial role. They are always trying to deviate from our plan.
Okay, so you have only been on here, Nashra, for maybe 4 minutes, and you are already showing us all how much you have learned in the last 5 years, because it really does. When you start, it's so much to look at. But if you actually stick with it and you start to just drill down and see what is really the core elements to the trades that you need to see, such as support and resistance, that's when you can really start to see the patterns, I think. And you have to let it kind of slowly build and sink in deeper, and then we can all start to figure it out. And I think that's when you become a trader, is when you start to tune out some of the noise and find a system that works for you. So is that kind of how you took in all of the information that you were initially exposed to?
So I didn't came here. I did quit trading like thrice. I was done with it.
Yeah.
I did quit, but then I went for other businesses, and then again I was back to trading because I realized the market, the potential it holds, nothing can be compared to it. The freedom, like, we as a woman, we are looking for freedom so that we can look after kids, look after house, so it becomes hard to manage. But in trading, it gives you the amount of freedom I can't describe, which is why.
I love that. And I think that that is very true. Yeah, I mean, it really is. You need an internet connection and you need to start learning the information. And if you can start to see the potential that is there in trading and dig in and go at it without high leverage, right? The key, I think, to that early energy is not losing a ton of money. So you have to stop. But if you can keep your risk low and be open to learning, is incredible freedom that we can gain from trading. And it's something we can operate inside our homes with just a couple of hours a day, which is really awesome.
Yeah, yeah. But the only part where we get stuck at, that we need to be consistent. We don't give up. That's what is of importance, because I've seen many that they join, and when they are shaken by the fluctuations, when they are close to the point where their capital is about to explode, they are at a level where they realize it's not for me. At that time, if you're ready to stay, if you're ready to learn, and you are ready to accept your mistake and introspect of where you have been wrong, that can be a turning point. Because
Yes.
when I did exited, I was not looking back. I was not ready to look at the mistakes where I was wrong. Because even when I was making consistent results in back testing, even after that, I was not doing well enough in live trades. So when I realized, okay, let's look at the statistics where I am wrong, I would write down. I watched a YouTube video and I learned that you need to write down, like, literally every single mistake you did. So I wrote down, and then I realized the mistakes I were making, they were all psychological. That's where I learned how psychology plays a very major role. And as the saying goes, like, if you are very new, like, if it's been 5 years or more and you're still not profitable, then it's not about risk management, it's not about edge. You are stuck at psychology, you are not able to keep up with your emotions. That's what you need to work on. Like, when it's been so long and you are into this business and you still don't get it, then you need to relearn the psychological aspect.
Yeah, I think that's very true, because I think there are a lot of trading strategies that are very effective. And so you are totally on point with what my understanding is as well. If you can learn a strategy with a real edge that will be profitable over time, the issue comes when we don't honor our rules and we let our psychology take the role, take charge of our trading, and we succumb to revenge trading and over trading and fear and anxiety instead of just trusting the process and the setups and executing how we have studied and back tested. Because that's such a beautiful example of you were profitable with back testing, but in the live trading environment, you weren't seeing the same results. But it's different when there's risk on the line. And that doesn't always, it's not always logical for someone. So kudos to you for listening to that advice of writing down all of your mistakes and trying to find the root cause to that. Because I think a lot of traders, it's easier to be like, to blame it on the market or extenuating circumstances, but to actually own every aspect of your trading and target where you see yourself making mistakes, I think that's where true growth really comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is that I was very passionate about it. So, why I did not quit, the main reason, because there must be something like when others can do, why can't I make? There must be something working out there. Like, yeah, I know it would take time, like, be it take any profession, be it doctor, be it surgeon, be it dentist, it takes time. You need to spend like 5 to 7 years in studying, then you will go for the practice, and then you will be getting into the main role of whatever it is. So how can we expect trading like you just come and don't acquire the required knowledge and not practice? The practical is backtesting. Our practical is backtesting. And when we go into live market, it's very much different. It's like, for instance, let's take a surgeon. When he is doing practical and then when he is doing on live patients, it's very much different. Same is with trading. When we are back testing, we think, okay, this is easy peasy. But when our live, our capital is involved, when we are into real markets, we are like, where have I been wrong? A one single mistake, even like there are a lot of variables to consider before investing, and like a one single overlooked discipline, and boom, you are in loss.
Yes. It's so easy. That's how easy it is to, you can have a great system and you just succumb to one like emotion or feeling and you don't trade your plan and you outsize, you take on too much risk, you don't honor your stop loss. Like it can really cause so much more damage than a steady increasing equity can build. And so that is where I think that honestly, I think that's where a lot of traders do quit and stay quit, is because they break their rules too often and they can't break that habit of letting those things happen. And I think what you said earlier about how you did try to quit a few times. I think that also is very common, to encounter resistance and struggle and wonder if it really is for you. But I think when it's really becomes a part of your blood and you do have the passion for it, you can't stay away. You have to, like, you want to dig in and get better.
As metaphor goes, like trading is easy as much as it is hard. But once you realize, once you are very much passionate about it, you realize how much easy it has been. And then again, at the same time, the irony is, at the same time it being easy, then you are stuck up with 2 to 3 consecutive loss, then you are treating it like, oh my god, it's not that easy either. I've been
Yes.
through this a lot of times.
You have. I can tell. I can tell that you've gained some experience and some wisdom, and now you kind of know where the hurdles are and where you can self sabotage a little bit by making those poor choices. So, what did you do when you dug into and you figured out what your mistakes were you were making? How did you stop them or at least control them better?
Okay, I will tell you the mistakes that I was making with the examples. I clearly remember the trades were from what I learned. So the first number one mistake that I did was letting others' ideas ruins the discipline. Like there was a trade just few months back. I remember the name. It was Sheetal Universal Limited. It's listed on NSE, National Stock Exchange of Indian Market, and I was up like around 13%. And I showed it to my husband and just book it. What are you even waiting for? What if it goes against you? You will be left with nothing. And I started re-wondering whether I should stay or do what. And the very next day I exited. You won't
Yeah.
believe what happened. it went up like 50%, which is a very
Sure did.
massive move. It
Yeah.
went up like 50%. I missed that move. And
You put a bug in your ear.
it was very painful for me. And I
Yeah.
took a week off to regather myself to be back into this game again. I will tell you mistake number two. So, what I used to do was once I enter a position, I would literally treat it like I wanted to move in my favor within few hours, like because I am a swing trader and my positions they can take like week or even a month, not beyond a month. It can take like a month. So what I started treating it like, I wanted it to give me the move instantly, which is not possible, which is very unrealistic expectation.
Yeah. It's such a good point because that's when we enter a trade, it's exciting. You think you did all of the work and now you see this level holding and you want to get in and have it immediately start to move. But the more common experience is for it to monkey around in that accumulation or distribution before it really starts to move. And so we know logically that it's more common that it will take a little bit of time to really take off. But it is hard when you get in and you want it to just go. Were you closing them early ever if it wasn't moving in the first couple of hours, or how'd that go?
It was like a fixed range of emotion. Sometimes I did exited because I was not ready to wait, and the other times I was waiting far beyond I should have waited. So there was a trade that I recently took. It was GE shift, I as I remember. So the as soon as I entered at break and retest, I trade very simple. I am using simple break and retest or just break above. That's my strategy or system, you can say. So after retest, I entered and it gave me it reached my target price within few minutes. And I was like, how is this possible? Maybe it's gonna give me more. And I became greedy. I was expecting more, whereas it was clearly the time I should be exiting. But I didn't know what came to my mind, even after learning so much, even, but experiences teaches us. So the very next day, all my profit vanished. And now again, I was at break even point. Then when I look back at it, and how can I be, where was I, what was I even thinking about? Because the just before that GE ship trade, the trades that I took, it took me like around 2 to 3 weeks in order for them to reach my target price. That's so when I took that trade, I was expecting the same to happen, but that's not what happened.
That's so hard because I have done that as well. You get in and you think it might take however long it would to get to your target. And when the market just flies in your direction, it is startling. It's like this momentum is significant. I probably should hold longer. It probably is going to go to the moon. And so I have definitely been in that situation. And what I have done, I just did this actually a couple weeks ago in a day trade, is I got in for a long and I thought that it would take, maybe 20, 30 minutes for just a little day trade on the futures. And it just flew. It was like 4.5 minutes. It was at my target and I was out in the trade close. And I made the rookie mistake of like, this is incredible. It's flying. There must be an underlying catalyst. It's just going to keep going. And so I entered again at the top to be back in the trade. But of course, my target was well placed because there was a resistance there. So immediately that trade was in the red. I'm like, as soon as it turned against me, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm supposed to be out here. This is the exit place. So I just shut it down and it took some of my profits. And it was like, but it's similar. It reminds me of what you just said of like, when they happen faster than we think, it's like, whoa, this is like great energy, let's go farther. And it's tricky. You have to really remember the plan. And I think leaning into a strong strategy when you plan your trade, honoring it, there's all kind of ways we can monkey with our trades. And there's often some regret when we do.
Absolutely. Even though how much we have already prepared ourselves, the hardest part is sticking to the plan. No matter how much amount of effort you put, how much hard you try not to let your emotion or your psychology ruin the discipline, no matter how much rules I set for myself, when we see those price movements, they are very, they are like trying to attract us, and we get carried away.
It's very easy to get carried away. And that's the thing. I mean, we get into trading for the financial freedom and to make nice profits. And so when it does happen, there is a little bit of an energy, a high energy that goes with that, that sometimes we want to just keep it going when it's going well. But I think trying to always stay kind of more level and more neutral is such a stronger stance to be as a trader, because then we honor the rules better. But it's easier said than done.
Yeah, absolutely. This point where we have to stay neutral, I would say there's one book I will show you. This one helped me enormously. This one, the
Yes,
mental by
Jared
Jared
Tendler.
Tendler. He's been very helpful to me. Like, he has dedicated an entire chapter to every single emotion, be it fear, greed, or hope, revenge. What he
Yeah.
suggests is that whenever we feel like I'm in a trade, and if I'm feeling fear, I would write it down, and then I would just close the book, and then I would return look after when the markets are closed. Then I would look at it and see whether that fear is reasonable, it's logical. Then only I would let it affect my plan. If it's not, when the markets are closed, that's when you start seeing the bigger picture. But when the markets are live, our emotions are also fluctuating the way the candles are. That's what happens. And that was the hardest part for me, to not letting my emotions fluctuate with the fluctuations of the prices. That's where I went through a lot of pain.
That is such a good book, and that's such a good lesson that you just reminded us of from that book, because we really need to stay in tune with our emotions and then look at them with some hindsight as to, was that really justified and warranted as a concern, or was that just me being human? And next time I should remember that I was okay and my trade was still working out as planned, and to let it go. That's such a great lesson that you remembered from that book and have used in practice. Like, thank you for sharing that.
So what I do now, like, after going through all passing all those hurdles, even when I'm backtesting, if I do any mistake and that trade turns against me, like my stop loss gets hit, I would write down the mistake instantly, and I would write it in bold, that okay, this mistake was I entered late, so that even in backtesting, when I'm doing backtesting, I don't repeat that mistake, and it has tremendously helped me. So whenever, even when I'm doing live trades, so I would write the mistakes that I committed while I'm in the session, while I'm out of the session, how emotions were affecting my discipline. So I would take those sticky notes, and I would write down the mistakes. Okay, so that today the trade I took was revenge trade. I need to exit this position as soon as possible because this was out of my plan. And the markets
Yeah.
have been quite bleeding literally for the uh, past few weeks. They have been testing our limits, they have been testing our patience. Once you feel like, okay, you understand this game, this is easy, then again something like this comes up, like be it lockdown thing, or be it some economic downturn, and now we
Yeah.
have this war. So we are still trying to waiting for the right time. But even now, there are lots of good opportunities for the bulls. There are still a lot of opportunities. So I'm trying to catch them currently.
Yeah, I think that that helps to have kind of an abundance mindset, because we have seen it's been, a volatile year. I would definitely say that that has been my experience as well. A lot of twists and turns and news and concern. And so it has been trickier to be a swing trader. Certainly in the United States, we've experienced that as well. And so, but I love your perspective of, there are always opportunities. And during that time, sometimes if you don't see great opportunities setting up live, that's a time to like do more back testing and shore up your system. I don't know if you do that, but I think it's good to believe that there's like always opportunities, and to just wait and make sure you're waiting on putting real capital on for the best opportunities. And sometimes you do have to have patience with that.
You just mentioned backtesting. Actually, that's very important. Backtesting helps you remind that your system does work. You're not a bad trader. Your system does work. it works, but in the longer term, this is just momentarily you're not getting opportunity, but it doesn't mean there won't be any. So if whenever I feel like I'm a bad trader, when things are not going in my direction, I would get to backtesting, and then I'm suddenly euphoric. I'm feeling like, okay, I'm gonna win the world.
Yeah. I
This
know what
is
I'm
my
doing.
gateway to freedom.
Yes. Great. I love how you talk about all of this because you actually have really dug in. And I hope a lot of people watch this episode and hear your story, because at each point you're taking in the information and you're thinking about what you're doing right and what you're doing not right in the individual trades, and are focusing on how you can get better, as opposed to kind of being more lackadaisical with it and just seeing what can happen each day and not really critically thinking about what you still need to fine tune. It seems like you're really good at that.
I'm trying to learn every single day is a lesson for me. What I've learned since the early age, that if you want to achieve something, you need to look at those who are above you. So I'm always trying to learn from the traders who are above me. I'm learning from their journey. So in order to run in the longer term, I need to be consistently learning. No one can say that they are a perfect trader, because literally no one is the perfect trader. And this perfect trader thing, I it reminds me of something. Yesterday I was watching YouTube, and this ad pops up, and there's a guy, and he says he was selling and he was his course, and he says that his strategy is 99.99% working. Like, I was literally
Nope.
shocked. It's a trap for those
Yeah.
who are very much new. I've fallen for these traps, and I realized, like, how can someone be so accurate? If it was working, then they would have been next billionaire or millionaire, or
Yeah.
like the
They
richest
wouldn't be
man
saying
in the
anything.
world. That's not possible. And that you mentioned that US has been volatile. I don't know whether you know it or not. Our Indian markets, they are very much correlated to your Trump. They are very much correlated. If the Trump's mood is good, then our Indian markets are obviously moving with your US market. So the conditions are very much same, both sides.
That's what I'm hearing over these last few years, where we've had all this crazy volatility, where a tweet will cause these significant impacts. And it really is, it's worldwide now, the impact. And it's changing the way that we have to read the markets and the way you have to protect yourself as a trader. It's very real that you have to always make sure you're being cautious and watching what's going on, both geopolitically, fundamentally, as well as technically.
Yeah, this actually reminds me of something that I heard. I read those lines that as a trader, you don't need to be stubborn and stick to one single strategy. You need to be ready to align with the changes that are happening, because if you are not ready to keep learning, keep tweaking your strategy, your discipline as per the market conditions available, you will be stuck.
Yeah.
So in backtesting also, when I started, you won't believe, I read like around 3,000 charts from the day they were listed up to this date. And like, even if they were listed in 1995, I would read every single movement. That's where I learned my edge from. That's where I gained my edge from. So I got a lot of experience, because when you are running 3,000 charts, and from the day they were listed up until today, so you get to see a lot of price movement. And what I've come to realization is that there are, like, I would divide it into cycles, like 1995 to up until the next crisis. I guess it was like around 2008. Up until
Yeah.
that, the strategy, the way markets were moving, it was same. And then again, up until next 5 years, the way market was behaving, it was pretty much same. But the point to note is that after those 5 years, the way it was moving, the opportunities it was giving, it was very much different. Maybe the government change, or the fund managers change the way they treat, because that predominantly affects how the price moves. So they were changing maybe. So if we were not ready to change with them, evolve with them, we won't have been able to survive in the longer term. And if we look at before 2010, the movements, they were very simple. They were not so much choppy, so much consolidation, so much false traps, false breakouts. But if I look at today's charts, they are very choppy. It's not easy to catch the moves. You will face a lot of false break, and in order to understand whether it's a false break, you will need to read lots of charts. Then you will realize whether the move, the position, whether it is genuine, authentic, or it's just another false trap for traders.
Just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1 for starting your day with calm intention, 1 to stay centered while you trade, and 1 to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description. That's a sign that you really have put in the work, because I do believe that there has been market cycles where a certain strategy worked really well until there was a major change, and then it just didn't for a while, where there's a substantial correction and then a restabilization, and then sometimes it restabilizes in a different way. And I have to say, after speaking with you, I need to get on my game with backtesting, because I can't speak to as much as you have done, but I think I absolutely believe in the power of that, because after I do a backtesting session as well on the markets and the hours that I trade, I feel so much stronger going into my next trading sessions, because I feel like I can see it in my mind's eye what the patterns look like at my levels, and when it's false and when it's real, and when I want to put my capital on the line. And so I think that that really is a superpower of traders, is to study. And like you alluded to, or like you said earlier, about how, doctors and dentists, we don't want them to study for a year and a half and then all of a sudden have full access to, human
Definitely,
beings. And
definitely.
so we need to put in our work to study and learn the trade of trading to actually get really good at it, to expect high profits.
Definitely. When I used to tell someone that I'm into trading, they would be like, "How much did you make?" And how do I explain that I'm in the learning process? They won't understand. It was really hard to explain, even my closest ones. So I stopped telling them. Like, whenever they come, they ask, "What are you doing?" I would say that I'm playing games. I'm just playing a game. So even my toddler, he is like around 4 years old, and he would say, "Look, Papa, Mama is playing game." And mama is playing triangles. He would call my charts as triangle. So
It's amazing. Okay, so I'm a woman in Pacific Northwest in the United States, and you are a woman in India. And I have had the exact same experience of like telling other women and other people who are in different careers that I'm trading. And they're like, "Well, how much are you winning?" "Well, if you're not winning, then why are you trading?" And it's like, you don't like, I've been doing it 2 years. Get off my back. Like, I'm not supposed to be consistently profitable yet, but they don't understand that. And it's seen as a get rich quick scheme, or it's just a waste of money and you're eventually going to lose. And it's not a get rich quick scheme. That won't work.
no,
Those are the
no,
traders
no.
who
That's
lose their money and burn
that's
out
a
and never
trap.
come
If
back.
someone says that, they
Yeah,
are definitely
but
selling you a
there's
lie, a big lie.
so
Because
real. Like, I've had
yeah,
the exact same experience. I'm really glad that you said that, because same.
it requires knowledge, it requires patience, and it requires consistency and sticking to the discipline. Then after putting all those variables, then you start becoming consistent. But you don't. One more thing I remember, that where I was wrong, is treating one single trade as a gateway to my freedom. I was like, I remember one trade that I put 2 years back. It was Mafatlal Industries, and I invested like around 90% of my capital. Can you believe 90% is a big amount? Because at that time, I did not have an edge. I didn't know what risk management is. I thought trading is all about you need to buy and sell. Simple. I used to watch videos about risk management, but I did not give it much thought. Not until I took this trade, and then boom, it was going through, it tested me in ways I couldn't have imagined. I was so
Yeah.
sad. I was literally so sad. And the money with which I invested, it was borrowed. So I need to return that money, man. Like, how do I do that? So
Yeah.
that trade particularly made me look back and read in depth where I have been wrong. Why this loss happened to me, how could I avoid it? And then I realized if I was following my stop loss, this won't have happened. If I had diversification of portfolio, this won't, I won't have come to this point, because diversification is also important. And in diversification there is one more thing: the setups, they have to be different. Like if I'm trading four stocks, like two stocks, they can't be offering the same sort of setup, like they can't be forming same type of pattern, because when we are swing trading there would be stocks, they will be forming same patterns. So it's, I don't go with those same pattern. All those four must be having same pattern, because the result will be same, and the stop loss, that would also be same. So that's irrelevant. It's better if I put that money in the single stock.
That's such a good point, because if they're doing the same pattern on that large time frame, likely they're moving together. And so if that industry, that market, even though they're separate stocks within that same niche, if that market starts to fall, they will likely all fall at the same point. So that's such a great point, that just because they're technically different tickers, if they're in the same industry, that is not real diversification. It's a great lesson.
So there is one more mistake I would like to mention. So
Yes,
that
please.
was staring at the positions. Once I entered, staring at the every single move, like my life depends upon it. I trade daily time frame or weekly time frame. And then when I entered, what I'm supposed to do is just turn off the screen. That's the best thing I can do. Because if I keep looking at the screen, obviously it will give me brain fog. So what I used to do, where I was wrong, I would look at the 5 minute candle, I would look at the 10-minute candle, which is very wrong. You cannot force the markets to move in your direction. They would do whatever they want to do, whether it's going to take a week, a month. You cannot change it. It's not out there to serve you. It will do what it wants to do. You need to do is follow your plan, be consistent, and not stare at the screen for the longer period of time. And that brings me to one more thing. When the war started, I was I had 5 open positions, and obviously I was sure like now I need to exit my positions today. But I don't what my as per my rules, like you may have different set of rules, and while others may also have some different sort of rules, but for me, I don't exit or enter unless the day candle is completed. So I had this urge. I wanted to look at what's going to happen, be no matter how much market is going to open low. I wanted to look at it, but I laid down the discipline. If I break this discipline, I'm not gonna touch trading. I'm not getting into any trade for next 2 months. It was so hard for me to control, but I was so compelled to open it. But you wouldn't believe, when I followed this discipline, when after our Indian market session ends at 3:30, when I opened at 3:30, all that loss was covered up. I was able to see a very huge green candle. But if I had broken my discipline and I would have opened in the at the morning session when it opened, I would have exited. And you know what could have happened? I would have exited at a very big loss.
Very frustrating. That's a great lesson of like following your system and letting it close, because you're right. If we put a trade on and you're expecting to let it time and to move to its levels, and it's going to bounce around a little bit. But if we get in there and we look there, the urge to monkey with the trade plan is so strong. Like I certainly have had that experience myself, to just take enough profit here and maybe it's going to come back on me. And if it's hesitating, you'll lock in a very small profit. And then the full target is hit. It's so frustrating. And so I think that is a superpower of setting your trade, making your intentions, putting your risk on there, and then just giving it time to play out. That's a much stronger strategy than micromanaging.
The line you mentioned, giving it time for the trade to play out, it carries a very heavy weight. And you realize it once you have experienced that. And once, but again, we keep doing the same mistakes even when we are aware of it, but we still are trying our best to not repeat those mistakes as a trader. That's what a life is all about. And one more thing, the mistake that I used to do after I had a proper edge. So what I was doing is calculating profit in advance. I was not looking at the loss, I was only calculating profit that's where I was very wrong. Because when you are trade, even if I was putting like 3 to 4 positions, so I would do is look at the only brighter side. Only I was looking
Best
at
case
only
scenario.
greens. And even when looking at the greens, I was expecting highest possible target price. Like, and when it's about reality, you don't actually get to exit at exactly that price point in swing trading. You don't really get to exit at that exact price point, because obviously there would be some sort of candle movements which will make you feel like, okay, now I need to exit. Now it may reverse the position. So what I did was absolutely wrong. It was so erroneous. And
Yeah.
so what I
Smart.
started doing, I learned from the book. So I would not look at the profit, I would only um, look at the what will happen if it goes against me. Like, if all the 4 positions they are to go against me, how much loss will I stand? And there's one more thing, that rule by which we traders go, like, do not risk more than 2% of your total capital. So I would literally join all the losses and look at, okay, I can take that. It's not going to be that hard on me. So when the moment I stopped looking at the profits, only considering the losses, that's when it actually helped me achieve profits.
That's so smart. Yeah, because you're not chasing the green and you're worried about every little down tick. You're accepting the trade more so. It's like full acceptance of like, worst case scenario is I'm fine. So why don't I let it actually do its thing? Right?
It's not like the end of the world. I'm fine, I'm breathing, I'm not dead. But if I were to, I would be dead if I were to put like lot of risk in there. I would be broke then. So when my
Yeah.
portfolio is diversified, when my stop loss is already set, and I'm following discipline, even if the trades goes against me, I would still have capital, a good amount of capital left for me to be prepared for the very next opportunity that is to come. And the markets is are always moving. It's not like it's going to shut down all of the sudden. I will all obviously have opportunities. So why should I take it so much to my heart that it becomes unbearable for me, and it interferes with my normal daily routine? So now I'm like, okay, I hit 3 consecutive loss. I'm like, fine, okay, it's not a big deal. I will still get another opportunity. And it does. Like, there would be times when you will have 5 to 7 consecutive winners, and those winner would be like, they would be considerably higher that you wouldn't have expected so much.
Yeah. That's a great lesson about trusting your trade and your risk to reward ratio and fully accepting the trade in order to give it the space that it needs to actually play out. Like, that's such good experience that you have gained over time. I love that.
And it all comes with, then you keep doing these same,
Experience.
yeah, it comes with experience when you are doing those same traits and same mistake, and you investigate, you are introspecting upon your behavior, and then you realize, okay, so that's where I've been wrong, I need to work on that. And there was one more thing, that how much easy it is for us to see the market movements. Because earlier, when there were no charts, were no brokers, how much hard it would have been for the people in earlier days. And the commission was also like around quite higher as compared to today. I was reading this Best Losers Win by Tom Trader Tom. You know him?
Yeah. Tom
Yeah,
Hugard. Yeah. He's
yeah,
excellent. I love that
Tom
book.
Good. Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
he was saying that when initially started, there was no proper charts, and if we are not able to do, even when there's so much resources available out there, like, how are we ever going to do something? Why are we
Yeah.
so much lazy that we are not ready to use the already available resources which are being distributed for free? Like, If there is any book, like earlier, if I needed any book, I had to go to bookstore and buy it. But now there are PDF formats available for free. So why not utilize them? There is lots of information out there, but the problem is our laziness. We are so much distracted that we are not ready to get out and learn it. So yeah, it requires, be it anything, be it job, be it like anything, like literally anything. And to overcome this laziness, I put up a frame in my room, and it says, great things never come from comfort zone. It's like here. And whenever I'm feeling lazy, I would look at it and remind myself that I need to get up, I need to read books, I need to acquire knowledge, the required knowledge. Then only I will be able to achieve something. If I be
Yeah.
lazy and stay in bed and not able to utilize the already available free resources, that what good I am for. And one more thing that women should not overlook, that no matter you have kids, no matter how much household work you have, you should not look at them as an excuse for your laziness to not read, uh, to not work on yourself, to not work on your progress. There is always, no one can say that they don't have enough time. Everyone has time. Like when you have time to watch series, when you have time to roll screens on Instagram, why not get up and do something productive? Learn for yourself, learn finances, and take the hold.
My God, you're like amazing. I completely agree with every single thing that you just said. And in the world of trading, right, we have dreams of like substantial profits, right? And we know that that will take time. But to expect outsized results, we should also expect to put in outsized effort, because I'm sorry, like there aren't free handouts, and the things that are the free handouts are not what we're seeking. We are seeking something amazing if you are really relentless in trying to pursue and succeed in trading. And so then you have to be able to show up for yourself and put in the work that is required to get to those levels, because the people that don't make it are the ones who don't put in the effort. And I completely agree with you of like, you can have multiple things in your life that matter to you, like being a strong parent and maintaining your home and your personal relationships is a priority. But so also can be a pursuit such as trading. And if you just figure out how to balance your time and your energy and cut out the things that are time sucks, such as, brainless scrolling, doom scrolling, right? There's actually quite a bit of things that we can do if we choose to just really work a little harder than most.
Yeah, and women, this trading, I feel like this is for women. This is the future. Like, I want to create a community for women, and especially the one who are like me, because it's not
Yeah.
very easy, it's not very convenient of them to go out and earn. So I want to create a community where I would empower them, because why not? You don't need to go out, you are in your room, and it's very easy peasy. You have everything, like, within just a small space. Why not give it a try? And it would definitely take time.
I want everything that you want to succeed. I think you have the energy and the intelligence and the right outlook and the emotional intelligence to really, like, I'm not surprised that you have learned what you're learning and you're doing such a good job. And I just really commend you for all that you have built and all that you are just starting to build too. Like, I love that you want to be an example for women, no matter what your circumstances, to pursue towards. And I have similar goals as well, because I really think that we all can make life what we want of it, and just change what you can change and work. And this is something that's within our control. I mean, the internet is everywhere now. You need the internet and a drive to learn this thing.
True, because when in my earlier times, when I was small, the primary focus was on studies. Like, if you are able to achieve good grades, then only you have a successful career, you will be able to secure a job. But in today's world, all you need is a set of skills, and that's it. Or you can start a business, like home business, or be it trading. Like, there are a lot of opportunities because of the easy access of the internet connection. Why not give it a try? What is stopping you? One thing is stopping, that is mindless scrolling, looking at others'
Yes.
life, comparing, and look. why do you have to live in that misery when you can do something for yourself? Why being totally dependent upon your partner when they are already carrying a lot of load? Why not do something for your own? Why not be happy? So what I usually do is, like, if there is a setback in my life, be it anything, like there are some greater ones, there are some smaller ones, I always take them as a motivation. They help me in staying motivated to keep doing what I'm doing. So that's a big motivation that I get. And I'm like the kind of person, like, these days it's very boring market, and I was like literally on bed all day watching series and all, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? I need to get up. This is not what I wanted. Why
Yeah.
it felt like, why everything feels so much bad? I was not happy with it. I need to do something. Then I thought, let's give podcast a try, let's help others who are struggling. So
Good job. Well, I definitely, anything that you have created, anywhere people can reach out to you, I want to put it in the show notes because you are such an inspiration. And I'm so very grateful that you agreed to come on Market Mamas and tell us your story and all that you have learned, because the lessons that you have learned are excellent, very intelligent, like logical, smart, important lessons that every trader needs to like work through on their own and figure out how to get on top of, because that is the work of trading that you are really like, sounds like doing a really good job of. So strong work.
life is all about learning, and you cannot say that you don't have the capability. Like, everyone does have the capability. There are two types of mindset: one is fixed mindset and one is growth mindset. And if you possess the fixed mindset, you will want everything served at your table. But if you have a growth mindset, even if you're not capable, you will try to learn. And in trading, in particular, specifically, you need to come with a growth mindset, because there will be a lot of times when it's going to shake you badly, and you will be like, what am I doing? Like, you will start second guessing if this was a good career choice. Have I wasted my time all these years I have spent on looking at charts, learning courses? Were they all in vain? But then again, once have that passion, when you are so much passion driven, when you have energy, you will feel like, okay, this is worth it, this is going to be my future, I'm gonna invest all I have, all I'm able to. That's when you will come to break even point. That's when you will start making something. That's when you will start generating. There will be no going back. This will be a future.
Yes. I could not agree more. I absolutely love that energy and the approach and like being open to receive and to put in the work that is required to persevere past, because it will challenge you. Like trading absolutely will challenge us to the peak of our emotional stability when you're first learning. And so, breathe and push through and show up and like let each hardship be a lesson. And then that's how you actually get through to the profitability phase of trading. Like, very good points.
I saw one of your videos that you learned from the mentor. To have a mentor is also, I would say, very much helpful. Like,
Yeah.
because for me personally, I did not take up any course, to be honest. I was learning all
Wow.
by myself, and
Good
I was
job.
learning from the resources available. But yeah, everyone has their own, like, some may learn from this or from that. It worked for me, and I
Yeah.
watched a lot of videos. So, like, I watched in depth, like every single indicator I watched in depth, and trying it on the live market, trying it on the back testing, and then after like doing it again and again, and then I realized it was very simple. It did not, so much effort was not required. It was very simple. But you
Good
realize it
job.
once you have been through all those indicators, once we have used those moving averages and everything, then you will realize only one simple strategy is also going to work. But when it is worked over the longer period of time, following the discipline, following the risk management, not letting your emotional overrule you or letting them change your decision at the end moment, then only you will be successful in the longer term. there is one more thing, that is in the longer term, looking at the bigger goal, looking at the bigger picture that goes in trading. Because when we are trading, we are looking at how much am I going to make in the next week, 1 week, how much am I going to make in the next 2 months. That's not how it works. What I am looking at is how much I am going to make if I follow my plan, if I am aligning with the discipline. How, if I am able to follow this discipline, my rules and risk to reward ratio for the next 50 trades, how much will be the return? That's the mindset shift we need to have, we need to keep in mind in order to be successful, I believe.
Yeah, I completely agree. I heard a phrase many years ago now that I love, and it is see the forest through the trees. And that is having like a broad perspective of where you're going as a trader and how it will build over time, and how each trade in and of itself isn't the biggest deal, but instead having a strong strategy and let it build and let them add on to each other. And you can slowly start to take it with a little bit bigger size. That is where you're headed. So you don't have to micromanage and worry so much intraday. And it's such a more peaceful approach, as well as like stabilizing.
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking at the bigger picture. We are looking at the how, at the compounded results, not just the result of the 2 to 3 trades, at the compounded results. Then when we will look at it in the end, we will see that the return after the compound, that would be your main return, the profit generated, that would be what we are looking at. So there is one more thing. I was backtesting few months back, and what I was trying to do, I would call it as a mistake. I was trying to chase a big move, and in order to chase that big move, I was not exiting when the price hit my target price. I was being greedy. I was thinking maybe it will give me more higher, more return. And then after, when I look at the statistics, I realized just because of chasing that one big move, I was at break even point. So there is no big move. Even if you are able to generate like 2 to 3% return, you look at the compounded results, not just that chasing that one big move. That's not going to give you that financial freedom you are seeking for, but the compounded results over time, that's what is going to make you
Yes.
attain what you want.
Yeah. I agree. Like having like base hits, if you think of like baseball, like just a core, like stable base hits where you get some momentum, you get some movement in the game, you get the ball moved down the court, essentially. Looking for those that are account protective, you're not taking a massive risk in order to enter those trades. That does build up absolutely in our accounts, and it makes a big difference over time. That's very well said. Nashra, I am so thankful you came on today because I love all of the things that you said, and it's so in alignment with the things that I have learned as a trader as well, often the hard way myself. So I really, it sort of validates my own experience and my own things that I have learned throughout the years. And it makes me want to just even stick even harder, because trading really does, the opportunity is there for financial freedom, but we have to take that responsibility on ourselves to show up for the work of that. And so I think that underpinned everything that you said today, of like really pay attention to who you are and what you need to learn and improve about your approach to this, and then the results follow. So any last words for anyone watching today? Because I'm really, really grateful you came on.
So I would say if they're starting out and they are not, I'd recommend that they start from the basics and they don't quit. If there are setbacks, they stick to it. They need to be so much passionate about it, and they're ready to face every challenges that is to come. And even when there are some setbacks, you need to stay on it. And when you are staying on it long enough, you will be able to overcome all that obstacles, and you will be reaching that freedom, that financial freedom you always wanted. But for it to work, you need to be consistent, not to give up, staying strong, keep grinding harder. Like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love all of that. Thank you so much for your time today. And you guys, you want to look her up. Her link is going to be in the description today. I really appreciate your time, and everyone stay safe out there. Trade safe. Follow your rules. Take care, everybody.